Hi, I'm Todd Rogers. I'm a professor at the Kennedy School, and I teach behavioral science and the science of behavior change. And a project or a challenge that we often have in the class and in my teaching and exec ed around the university is when we are teaching this topic that I'm particularly passionate about, which is writing for busy readers, which Jessica Lasky Fink and I wrote a book about. How do we provide coaching in between sessions for students to practice the principles of how do we write so busy people read and respond? And the challenge is that we can't provide constant coaching. In fact, even in class, it's hard to coach each student as they try to rewrite their own writing. And so we trained an LLM on the principles of how to write so busy people read and respond. And then we tuned it with pre and post emails where we had an example of a normal email and then another one written so it's easy to skim. And I'm going to show it to you right now. You go to the website, Writing for Busy Readers, and then drop down to the AI for busy readers. And here's the tool. And what's great is I hear from students who've graduated. I hear from executive education students who introduce the tool to their teams. I'm going to paste an email here that is basically like a sensible message I might have sent to my students about a survey and then group projects. And then I hit submit, and we'll see what it does. And what I love about it, I use it during class to live give this kind of editing feedback. And then students in between classes, when we have multiple sessions on this, use it to internalize the principles and the practice. So you can see here, it's not about summarizing. It's about making the same content easier for skimmers. And there are 6 principles, and the book writes about it, and we have a one-pager, and I teach about it. But here's one example of how it rewrites it. It pulls it so that it's easy for people to skim. And of course, like all these generative AIs, this isn't the final word. You copy this and you edit it so that you make sure it says exactly what you wanted. It didn't hallucinate. But you can see so much easier to skim. It's much more concise, a third as many words. We'll run it again and see what it looks like. But the challenge I was trying to solve is how do we coach students in between sessions, even during sessions, and then after they leave. And developing this tool helped to reinforce the material, but also help students internalize it as they were practicing, because we're not able to give the kind of feedback that we want at all times, during class, in between class, after class. And so that is how we use this generative AI tool to reinforce what we learn in our class.